Alrighty, thank you all for joining the live class tonight. We are learning Leilu Nishmat Rabbi Yechezkel ben Rabbi Avraham and Rabbi Avraham ben Chaim Yehuda. So the aspect of the class tonight is, I think this can be very apropos, at least the introduction, to many people, and that is, do you ever learn something? Do you ever come across something that is just like, it's so far away from you that you're we just breeze by it. Like, I can't relate to something like this. I can't associate this. And this could happen. It doesn't have to be in the topic that we're speaking tonight, but it can happen very often where we kind of check ourselves out before we even allow it to sink in. We're kind of like, no, this is not me. I can't do that. And that's going to really be a focus of the topic tonight. And I'll give you some examples just to get the ball rolling. Imagine you go over to somebody, or it's you, and someone offers you, why don't you go and move to Yemen, or you move to some third world country. Immediately you'll be like, there's no way. Like, I can't move to there's no chance. Like, why would I? No, the answer would be no. Okay, fine. What about if you would be, again, assuming everything is covered, expenses and everything, move to England. It's not a third world country. You're coming from America, from Israel, let's say you're going to England. You shouldn't go, but whatever. Hypothetically speaking, they speak the same language. You're able to, convert many degrees. Why wouldn't you? But still, people would, refrain. I'm not talking about anti-Semitism. I'm talking about a very hypothetical, situation. So people would go and be like, I still can't do it. One of the reasons is there is a fear. The fear is the fear of the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen, moving away. Now, let's up the ante a little bit. Let's say that you are offered to move to a different state. Further away, meaning that you have to move away from your family and just like a new job, new everything, but you have to move away to a different state. Not too far, but a different state. Again, most people would say no. And the underlining reasoning is there's a fear for unknown. And I'll take it even up a notch, that it could be, let's say somebody's in an abusive situation, whether it's family, whether it's work, whatever it is, the kids are not doing well. Like, on paper, it makes perfect sense to move to a different state. And I'm not talking about adjacent states. I'm talking about, you have to travel, you have to fly to get there. Many people rather, would avoid doing that because there's just too much to it. But the reason why there's too much to it, it all underlines on the reasoning that there's a fear aspect in it. Like, there's the fear of the unknown. And the fear of the unknown prevents us from accomplishing so much. And this is the same thing with spirituality. The fear of the unknown brings more challenges. Like, we'll come across something and we're like, okay, but I'll have to change my life for this. I have to, and the fear of that, of the potential, what I have to do. You could say laziness, you could say a bunch of different reasonings for it, but you just don't want to put yourself in that situation. This aspect of fear is something that's very common in the entire natural world. You look at, let's say, for example, in the animal world, there is an orca, which is otherwise known as a killer whale. They very, very dangerous. I can't say they're dangerous for humans. They're very intelligent, they're massive whales, and they'll eat. The other name is killer whales. They'll eat whales. They're focused really on seals and things like that. How do they capture these seal? So they are chasing, let's say, a seal, and the seal jumps on an ice, and let's say it's in the frozen areas. They jump on the ice. How does the orca can also go on land? So how does the orca want to get its dinner back into the water? What they start doing is they start making, they're massive creatures. They start making these massive waves. They're going back and forth, and they're shaking the ice. The seal gets very scared. So what does it do? It jumps in the water to try to escape it. But that's exactly where the orca wants it, and then the orca has its meal. The way that it gets the food is through the fear. Meaning, if the seal would just stay there, the orca wouldn't be able to do anything. It would be safe. But the second that the seal's everything is shaking and things are moving, it's dangerous, it's scary. Well, let me do something, and they jump right directly into the danger. Wolves do this. I could go on and on in examples, but wolves do this as well. If they go and they find a herd of whatever, it doesn't matter. The way that they don't usually just jump on it, they circle it very slowly, and they stare at it, and they're looking at it, and they're walking slowly. The animal, whatever it is, it's petrified and it's kind of like frozen. Again, most run away, but there's always like some that will just like freeze. And that's how they go, and they get the attack. Snakes use this. Many birds use this as a prey as well. And this is not just in the animal world; it's also in the human world. The military uses this as something called psychological warfare. In the simplest way to explain this is a stun grenade. A stun grenade is it's kind of a grenade, but it's a loud noise and a flash of light. So it shocks, it fears the people that are near it into kind of like freezing, into like, oh, I don't know what to do. And many of us can relate to this, where like sometimes there's a situation that we get so scared, we're just like, oh, we don't know what to do, and we're just kind of just like frozen. So, and just to give you an example, growing up and going into, let's say, sleepaway camp or whatever, like hanging around with going to yeshiva in the door. Some people thought it was a nice practical joke to like scare people, going, boo, but again, more elaborate, obviously, we have to go very into detail. And one thing that you notice is that the second that the people like get like scared, let's say you walk into a dark room, you open the light, and something like rah, just jumps at you. The first thing that you could do is, even subconscious, is you kind of freeze. You're like, you don't even know what to do. You're like, your hands move weird, your body like there is no association, because you're kind of like stunned into like this like frozen this frozen state, not sure what to do. The yetzer has the same tactic. It utilizes the fear, it utilizes the surprise, it utilizes the unknown to be able to kind of like shock you and be like, oh, I can't do it. I don't want to delve into this. One of the most famous slogans is "Just do it," and I don't even have to tell you who says the slogan "Just do it." Everybody knows that it's Nike. Nike's slogan is "Just do it." That's their logo. Now, it happens to be a phenomenal and a psychological like genius aspect. There's a lot of levels and layers that we can uncover with this. The core meaning of it is stop thinking and just take action. Like, stop with your cheshbonos. Stop with what you know better and you know how to do it. Just stop. Just go and do what you need to do. Just go and do it. So Nike built its message around the idea that fear, doubt, overthinking, excuses, those are the real opponents. Those are the real reasons why you can't achieve success. Those are the real reasons why you cannot go and achieve your exercise, whatever it is that you wanted. It's not the physical limitations, but the real opponents are rather right in your mind. If you just decide just do it, you'll be able to do it. The barrier in Nike's, like slogan is your hesitation. It's in your mind. That's why you can't do it. So their slogan is not train harder. The slogan is not be the best you that you can be. I don't think that's not the army. It's the slogan is not something that like work hard, achieve success. No, the slogan is just go, just do it. Just like, yeah, this is what you need to do. Just go and do it. You want to run. You want to exercise. You want to learn, just do it. Just do it is the best slogan in my opinion. Is the best slogan, at least from a Torah perspective, and how we'll explain it. From a psychological perspective, action usually often creates the motivation. And it's not the other, it's not the other way around. Like, fear reduces the motivation. It shrinks that motivation. So with that, let us begin with an introduction to with Hayashar, which we'll B'ezrat Hashem be speaking about. Yaakov Avinu was very upset at his children. Why was he upset at the children? He's like, I don't understand. This is before that he knew that Yosef was the viceroy, the second in command in Mitzrayim and Egypt. And Yaakov goes over to the brothers, to his children. Why did you tell Yosef that you had another brother? Meaning that he sent 10 brothers down over there. There was an 11th brother that was sitting at home, that was Binyamin. Why did you tell them that Binyamin is around. Like you should have just, when they asked you, do you have another brother? You should have just, like, why did you have to bring this brother into the equation? And now we have to send the brother, and now it's going to be danger. I lost Yosef, now I'm going to lose Binyamin. So the brothers, the Shvatim, explained, they said, the guy, the viceroy that was talking to us, he knew so much about us. He even knew the types of cribs that we had in our house. And when he asked us about our brother, if he knew about the cribs, then for sure he's going to know about the brother. So that's why we let's just tell him about the brother. Now the question that we have to understand is what's with the cribs? What does that even what does that scenario mean? I mean, the brothers went over to their father. The Shvatim went over to their father Yaakov Avinu and says, "Oh yeah, Yosef knew about our cribs. What was the secret about the cribs of the of the Shvatim, the cribs of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov?" And the answer explains Rabbi that the first rocking crib to ever be invented, to ever be used, to ever be utilized, was done by none other than Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was the inventor of the rocking crib. Obviously, it went through cycles, and we're not going to get into that. But why is it that this is what the Yosef knew? He says, "I knew about your rocking crib, no type of wood, and knew that it was a rocking crib." So we look at Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu, when it came time for Avraham Avinu to go and shecht and bring a sacrifice his son, it says, "Vayashkem Avram b'bayker," and this is in Bereshit chapter 22, verse 3. It says that Avraham Avinu woke up early in the morning. Why? As the Gemara in Pesachim, page 4a tells us, Zerizus magdimim lemitzvos. You're supposed to go with alacrity. You're supposed to go with speed, and that's how you're supposed to do a mitzvah. Meaning that if you have an opportunity to do a positive commandment, to do a mitzvah, do it with speed, do it with alacrity, do it with hislavas, do it with energy and quickly. Now we have to try to go and explain this, and to make this to make this a little bit deeper. The Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, the first halacha, the first siman, it starts off on the laws on how you wake up in the morning, which would make sense, right? That's how you would start your day. The first law of the Shulchan Aruch, right? The Sefer that tells us on all the laws on how to act like a proper Jew says, Yisgaber ka'ari. When you wake up in the morning, it should be like a lion. It should be quick. Jump up and go and accomplish what you need to do. And the underlining reason of this is Zerizus. Zerizus, the definition of that is alacrity, doing it with speed. Now, what is so important about doing something with speed? I'll get to it. Why do I have to do it right now? Do I have to do it fast? Do I have to run? I'll get to it. What's the big deal that I have to do it and I should do it fast and I should do it with enthusiasm? Why is that so important? So, Zerizus has two primary benefits. One, obviously, it helps you accomplish. It helps you perform the mitzvos, and this is something that you've seen it in your life. I've seen it in my life all the time. That if I have to do something, if I don't do it right then and there, I'll forget about it. There's so many things that come in, and it will slip my mind. I have to do right then and right there. That's the best way to know that you go and you accomplish. You could check off that you accomplished that that task. So the number one reason, you do the mitzvah. That's number one. Number two is that it's something, it develops hislavas. It develops this enthusiasm. When you're doing something fast, when you're doing something quick, it changes the way that you feel about that action. And let's explain this. We'll explain it first with what the Melaveh Malkah explains, and then we'll go a little bit on a detour on psychology and experiments and some fascinating ideas. So the Melaveh Malkah in Zerizus explains that it's human nature to rush into something that you will desire, that you will, yearn for. And so I was learning with my son this past Shabbos, Motzei Shabbos, I'm sorry, and, I gave him two examples. I said, imagine that you're going and you have to wake up for yeshiva one morning and you have to wake up at 5 a.m. How easy is it going to be for you? He's like, 5 a.m, not so easy. But I said, imagine we have to wake up 5 a.m. to catch a flight because you're flying on an airplane going, to Eretz Israel, going to Israel. And And he's like, if I'm going to Israel, he's like, I don't know if I can sleep. You're waking me up, and I'll be up in a second. So what's the difference by going to school that it's hard for you to wake up, but all of a sudden that you're waking up, that you're catching a flight, you're going in an airplane, and it's exciting, you're going to a foreign country, it's very exciting. What changes in that? When you desire something, when you want something, you rush into it. If a person, now what happens, explains the Hayashar, that if a person doesn't want something and they rush towards it, meaning they do it with the same excitement, meaning obviously it's all superficial, but they do it with the same excitement that as if they would desire it, what happens is that the external excitement is going to cause the inside, it'll cause you to want it. Meaning, explains the Hayashar, that if a person doesn't have a desire to learn Torah, to learn mitzvos, the good advice is to do it with Zerizus, do it quickly, do it fast, do it with enthusiastically. It will naturally envelop in you, and it will develop in you that you'll have a desire to go and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu and do the mitzvahs and do everything that you need to do. And this is the reason that Avraham Avinu developed and invented the rocking crib. Before Avraham Avinu, where they put the babies, it was stationary. But Avraham Avinu understood that if you want to accomplish a lot in life, you have to be enthusiastic about it. So he started when the children are very young, when the child was very young, and he started with the rocking. And this is the way that the offsprings are going to go and have this Zerizus, and they're going to have this enthusiasm, towards towards whatever it is that they're doing. And this will lead us to a concept that is very famously known as fake it till you make it. There is a few studies that I want to bring up on this, just to explain how important and pivotal this is to our life. The following stuff, it can change the way that not the way that you see your life, not the way that you live your life, but the way that you feel in your life. And in our day and age, we're living in a time where there's a lot of tzibruchness, and there's brokenness inside, and these concepts are going to, if you implement them, it's going to change the way that you feel, which is one of the most important things that a person could strive for. So there was something called the pencil smile study. This was done in 1988. And this was done by someone by the name of Fritz Strack. And he asked, participants, he put them into two groups. And group number one, he said, you're going to hold the pen in your mouth, but you're going to hold it by your lips. So what happens, I should have had a pen. If you hold the pen by your lips, you're kind of in a slight frown to keep the pen there. That's group number one. Group number two, you're going to take a pen and you're going to hold it not in your lips, but in your teeth. So now, in order for you to hold that pen in your teeth, you have to be in a slight smile. So you have two groups. One group is holding a pen in a slight frown because it's on the lips. The another group is holding the pen on their teeth, so it's a slight smile. And the experiment was that these two groups would both read and go through the same comics. And after they finish the comics, they're going to rate how funny it was. Right? And they had a large group of people. And he found out that the group that had the pen in their mouth and they were smiling while they were reading the jokes, they found the jokes significantly more funnier and more amusing and more entertaining than the group that were holding the pen with their lips and they were in a slight frown. And he came to the conclusion that there's something called facial feedback hypothesis, and that is the physical act of smiling sends feedback to your brain that you're happy. And if you act as if you're happy, so your brain says, oh wait, we're happy. So then it would automatically will send all the chemical, everything that comes with that laughter and happiness, and that will send it through your entire body. Meaning, and this is something that's very fascinating. We know this, there was, I forgot the name of the Rav, but there was a Rav that before a big gadol, before he came home, he was living in Eretz Yisrael. Before he came home, he would go in front of his apartment. He would fix himself up, look very presentable. He would go make sure his, everything is very neat, and he would put a smile on his face, a fake smile, so that he comes in with, again, obviously he was in a good mood, learning Torah the entire day, but he would come in like even happier. if you're in a bad mood and you just, again, you would look like a weirdo for sure, but imagine, no one sees you. You go into a room, you're bad mood, and you start smiling or you start fake laughing. That has an effect of you. Now, again, it might not change the way that you see reality, and all of a sudden it's going to be, but it's going to have a significant effect on you that you're going to be able to see, you're able to see the difference. Meaning that our actions has the ability to affect our emotions, our mode, and how we feel and how we interact, and there's so many things. I wanted to share with you another experiment, and that is an experiment that we spoke about it before. This is something by Festinger and Carl Smith, known as cognitive dissonance, but we're going to utilize it in a different manner. This experiment was done in the year 1959, and the experiment was that there was a group of people that had to do a very, very boring task, and the boring task was that there was like a piece of wood. Then on top of the wood there was a bunch of wooden pegs. And what the participants would need to do is just turn the pegs just slightly, go like slightly turn. It was like a quarter turn. So you turn it, you go down, turn it, go down, turn it, go down, turn it, go down, and you're doing this for an hour. Meaning you finish the whole board, you start again, and you keep on doing this for an entire hour. Like very, very painfully boring stuff. After they finished the hour, they went to they presented the board and said, okay, we finished, okay, and then they told them and said, now what we ask for you to do is I want you to go, and there's another participant waiting outside that they're going to come in, and they're going to be doing the same experiment that you did, but I want you to go and tell them that it was very interesting. It was very enjoyable. You spent a long time. I want you to go and, make this a very interesting, experiment. And they split this, the way that they did this is said, I want you to go and tell them that it was very interesting, but I'm going to give you $1 to do that. That was one group that they gave them $1, and you go to the next thing. Then they went to a second group, and it says, I'm going to give you $20, which was, again, in 1959. It was a significant amount of money. So I'm going to give you $20. Go and tell them that you had a great time. It was very enjoyable. It was very fun. So again, there was a group of people separately. They were doing it by themselves. They're spinning a very boring task. Group one, I'm paying you $1. Go tell the next group, go tell the next person that it's very entertaining. It's very enjoyable. You're going to have a great time. You're going to be spinning these pegs. Like, it's going to be unbelievable. The second group paid them a significant amount of money, and I want you to go and tell them that you had a good, and it was a very enjoyable experiment. Now, they gave them the money. They went and they told the next group, and then the leaders of the experiment, Festinger went and they asked these participants, so really tell us, did you enjoy it? Did you find it boring? Like, after they went and they told let's call it a lie, the next group, they called them in and they said, okay, listen, now tell us honestly, how did you feel about this experiment? You sat for an hour and you were moving pegs. And they found something very, very fascinating and very interesting. The $20, the group that were paid $20 to lie and say that it was fun, they were like, it was the most boringest thing that I've ever, I've done. Like I sat there for an hour, I was going out of my mind. And then when they asked the same question to the $1 group, the group that I gave $1, they were like, no, it was actually pretty enjoyable. Yeah, like it was relaxing, like I sat there, I moved the peg a little bit, it was very nice. It was very nice and it was very enjoyable. Now, the psychologists were looking at this and we're like, wait a minute, why is it that the $20 group found it extremely boring, but the $1 group, they found it, very enjoyable? And they came to the conclusion that the $20 group, they went and they lied. So they had to justify they lie because they said it was a lot of fun. But they justified it by saying, oh, yeah, but I got $20. So yeah, sure, it was good. So how did they feel after the experiment? They felt like it was, it was very, very boring. The $1 group, they didn't make a lot of money. They made $1. What's $1? After $1, they were like, if I'm going to go and I'm going to lie for $1, I'm going to tell them that it's enjoyable for $1. So rather, in their mind, they are looking back and they honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed spinning the dial. I enjoyed going through the pegs of wood, and I honestly enjoyed it. And they saw this consistently, meaning that they didn't have a justification to lie. They couldn't say like, oh, I made enough money. So rather, they really felt that they enjoyed it, meaning that your mind can control the way that you feel about a certain, aspect or action or whatever it is. Your mind can change the way that you feel on that, on whatever scenario that you're dealing with. And this is something that it was a massive, they utilized it for cognitive dissonance, which we're not going to speak about it, right now. The point is that you have the ability to do a task and leave that task either saying, I had a great time or I had the most boringest time. And it can be the exact same scenario. And you're the exact same person, but it's all in your mind. And to change it is not as difficult as you think. Meaning that if you're doing something that you dislike, that you're not happy with, but you promise yourself a big reward, then you're going to go through it because you got yourself a big reward, but you're not going to enjoy it. But if you go and you decide that you're going to go and you're going to do something and you're going to act with, energy and you're going to be very, enthusiastic about it, then guess what? The feeling that you're going to get, you're going to feel like, oh, I had a great time. You did the same boring task. It doesn't matter. Our self-perception follows our behavior. Many times, according to psychology, we're not sure of our own attitudes. But if we act with passion, we act with speed, our brain starts thinking, wait a minute, that we must like this, and then it associates the emotions that makes us feel good about it. So the fascinating aspect of this is our actions change our mind, and this is used all over the place in psychology. This is used in something called CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, where if someone is going through depression, and they're in depression is a low mood, they're withdrawal, they're in inactivity, they're not really doing much. So what the CBT does is it switches the transcript. It says no. Now instead of waiting to feel motivated, waiting to feel energetic, act as if you're energetic, act as if you're motivated, and then the motivation, the improved mood, everything will follow it. And this goes to so many aspects in life. So let's use for example, let's use social anxiety for example. So some people have social anxiety. That means that they're nervous to go out, I couldn't say in public, but let's say gatherings, parties, get-togethers, whatever it is, doesn't matter. There's an anxiety in it. So when they refrain from doing that, they avoid it. What happens is there is an immediate short-term relief because like, oh yeah, I don't have to go. So you feel good about it. But the problem is that short term of like, oh, I feel good about not going, it reinforces your bad behavior of being afraid to go out. So the solution would be to do what you're trying to avoid. Push yourself to do it, and eventually you'll get to the point that you not only are anxious about it, but you actually could enjoy it and appreciate it. Meaning that there is so much in our life that is just based on our mind. It's just based on how we feel and just based on how we see things. So I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this. I should have mentioned this. I'm going to mention it. So recently, it's a fad. It's a fad that I've gotten into, and that is something called cold plunge. Cold plunge, what you do is basically you immerse your body in freezing cold water for a certain period of time, and then you go out. It's a few minutes, it's nothing major. So how do I do this? So I have this blow up tub right outside, and it's really cold, and I have the water in there, and it freezes. And when I'm ready to go in, I take a hammer, I break the ice, and then you go in and you stay for whatever it is, however long that you're able to stay, and then you go out. It's supposed to be very healthy, psychologically it's supposed to be healthy, physically it's supposed to be healthy, but that's not really the point that I'm trying to bring. The point that I'm trying to bring is I had a conversation with a neighbor of mine, and I was telling him, I'm like, this is very important. It's good to do. He's like, why is it so important? Like, who cares? Like, why is it good to do? So I was explaining to him. He said, in life there are many things that we are scared to do. We're fearful to do because we're just nervous about it. And you look at this freezing, there's a sheet of ice on top of it. You have to really break it. And 2 nights ago, I was sitting there with a hammer, mamish, like it was about like 5 inches of ice. It was obviously a few days of freezing cold, and it was very, very hard, to break it. And you look at this, tub of ice, and you're like, no way, I can never do such a thing. I can never do, and you're scared. But then what's the worst that's going to happen? It's cold. You'll get in. It's cold. That's it. You're not going to die. You're not going to hurt yourself. You're just going to be cold. That's at the end of the day. Your fear that you're like, I would never do it. And I was explaining to him, in life, it's so important to be able to go and push yourself to do things that you would many times be fearful of doing. Obviously, according to Allah, obviously that you're supposed to do, things the right way. But I'm saying, when you push yourself to do something, what happens is you're like, wait a minute, I just did that. It wasn't so bad. And we could think about it in every single aspect in our life. We have so many things that we're like, oh, I can never do such a thing, and then we do it. We're like, oh, wait a minute, that wasn't so bad. And now imagine living your life like you're just able to accomplish things. You're scared about something. You're like, no, wait a minute. I was able to jump in 34 degree water. Why shouldn't I be able to do this? Like, I was able to. So psychologically, it's very beneficial. You're able to start thinking, be like, wait a minute. Something that I thought I would never be able to do, I was able to do it. So why can't I wake up for Shabbos? Why can't I go and I learn for X amount of hours straight? Why can't I go and do Shmiras Time? There's so many things. Why can't I be tznius? There's so many things that you, in your mind, you're like, I'll never be able to do it. But if you go and you push yourself and you just like, wait a minute, like, yeah, it's not such a big deal. Like, it was cold, maybe it was uncomfortable, obviously, yeah, but you're able to do it. And this is something that, like, I push my kids to do it as well. Obviously not the little ones. My older kids, all of them have, gone through the, to this cold, freezing water. And I was explaining this to my wife. I'm like, I want to offer them incentive. I'll give you money. I'll give you whatever it is. I want you to go and go into the cold, into this freezing water, because it's so important in life to realize, like, wait a minute, why am I scared to accomplish? Why am I scared to do something? Wait, I'm able to do it. Like, wow, I'm able, and this is my method. But so before I go into this freezing water, and I'm freezing, it's outside, so it's 20 degrees, and the water is freezing. But in my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, like, it's just in my mind. It's not an issue. And you do a little bit of chazara, I go a little, review it, and then I'm like, wait, it's not such a big deal. And then you go in, and guess what? It's not the biggest deal. Okay, it's uncomfortable, it's whatever, at the end of the day, it's not the biggest deal. When we push our limits, when we just do it, when we just go forward, we realize that we're able to accomplish so much more than we could have otherwise, ever dreamed of. So with that introduction, I know we're almost done the time, but that introduction, I want to get into the Hayashar of the, and you'll soon see why I brought this introduction. The Hayashar in the 12th chapter is what we're speaking about. We're not going to go through all the details. So again, obviously, everything that we're learning in the Hayashar, I always recommend people to go and learn it inside, because it's going to be different. You're going to see the lessons that we took out of it. But the Hayashar starts off and saying that it's a very, very important for a person to go and lispalel, to daven, to pray with tears, bevechi, with tears, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that after 120, after the soul leaves their body and they go into the next world, they shouldn't be ashamed. You're coming up over there and judgment, and you shouldn't be ashamed of the way that you lived your life. And the Hayashar says, a person shouldn't imagine, oh, don't worry about it, I'm a big tzaddik, I did a lot of good things, I'm a big tzaddikist there, I did this, I did that, I accomplished a lot of good things that I did, and I don't have anything to worry about. Because the Hayashar brings down from the Tikkun Zohar that even Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was nervous when he's going to go up to Shamayim, and what are they going to say? And this is a deterrent that people sometimes, it makes them feel. It means that they, sometimes you feel like you can't change. Many times, if I'm speaking to somebody, especially if it's somebody a little bit older, their ability and their thought process to change is very, very difficult, because they're like, my narrative is already written. Like, this is who I am. I'm not going to change, 380 degrees. I'm not going to be able to, to do that. It's never late. It's never, you could always change, you could always change your narrative. There was a famous person by the name of Alfred Nobel, and there's something that changed in his life drastically in the year 1888, and that is he had a brother by the name of Ludwig Nobel, and his brother died in 1888, and the French newspapers, they made a mistake, and they thought that this Alfred Nobel died. This Alfred Nobel was a very popular, he had a tremendous amount of patents. I believe he had 355 different patents. He was worth somewhere around 200, comparably to nowadays age, about $250 million. A very wealthy guy, a very well-to-do guy, very, invented a lot of things. And the French newspapers, they thought that he died. And he was reading his obituary in the newspaper. He picks it up and he sees that, what is the headline? The headline says, "The Merchant of Death is dead." Why was he known as the Merchant of Death? Because he he invented the TNT. He invented this bomb aspect of an explosion. Granted, he did it for different reasons, for mining and what. But the point is that he invented it, and it was used for wars, and it was used for a lot of death. So he was known after in his obituary as the Merchant of Death. So he was very bothered by this. He didn't have any children. He was a lifelong bachelor. And he's like, this is how the world is going to remember me. And within the next 7 years, his final will was that his entire estate, everything that he accumulated his entire life, he's going to be dedicated into prizes. That whoever is going, there's going to be, a committee of 5 people is going to, I believe in Norway or something like that. They're going to have this committee, and the committee is going to go and decide who benefited humanity the greatest this year. They're going to get this prize, and this prize is known by his last name as the Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't want to be known as the person of the death, of destruction and explosions and what all his of what his greatest invention was. He rather wanted to be known by the Nobel Peace Prize. So he gave away all his money, everything. His family, again, his extended family, was very upset about it. They fought about this. But he gave everything away because he didn't want to be known by it. Now, this is someone that whichever way he ended up living his life, the way that his narrative was written was death and destruction, and he was able to change it in the last few years of his life, to change it that now one of the greatest awards, like Trump is very upset that he didn't get wasn't nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. The greatest award is being having this being a Nobel Peace Prize winner. One of the greatest benefits to humanity. So he was able to change his legacy to the last days. We have the ability to change it as long as we are breathing, as long as we're alive. We have the ability to change everything. Everything. We could live our life one way and could change everything to 180 degrees. Until the day that the soul goes into the next world. Explains the Hayashar. That a person a person has to think every single day, to do introspection. A person should do his Zerizus. A person should go and think and rectify what they did wrong, and rectify the way that maybe their sins, maybe the way that they live their lives. And he should do it, says the Hayashar, Zerizus, with alacrity, with speed, with enthusiasm. And it says the Hayashar that a person has to do this introspection very, very well, to be able to go down the straight path, to be able to go and the Hayashar, he brings this idea. I'm going to explain it in this way. Many times we could do an introspection. We could look in our life and be like, yeah, okay, this is okay, this is okay. Many times we can come to the wrong conclusion. Incorrect conclusion. That's why it's very interesting. He says the person has to daven. You have to daven. You have to get the right guidance. We could go and we could live our life and be like, you know what? Maybe I need to change my life. And then we do an introspection and we're looking into our life and we come again and we're like, wait a minute. Yeah, I should change this and this and this. And we could be very, very wrong with our conclusions. A person has to have a certain siyata d'shmaya. How do you know that you're going to come to the right conclusion? We could justify so many things. I can guarantee you the Nazis, they were able to justify whatever they did wrong. wrong. And if they were to do the introspection, they would be like, okay, let me do an introspection. Yeah, no, I'm doing the right thing. I'm benefiting humanity. Whatever it is, they could make excuses. When we are going and we're doing an introspection, when we're looking into our life and looking at what we need to change, we need to have siyata d'shmaya. We need to have help from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We need to have guidance from up above to be able to go and make sure we come to the correct conclusion. Now the Hayashar goes off with a story, and it's a story from Rabbi Chaim Vital, the student of the Arizal, brings it down in Shar Gegulim. And the Rabbi Chaim Vital says, "Sha'alti es nishmasi." I consulted with my soul, with my neshama, and again, I had a lot of back and forths on this with a lot of different people trying to figure out what this means. But let's leave it at the level of his blattness, where I was trying to figure out how I'm going to go and improve myself, and he wanted to get to a level of this hasaga, this level of comprehension. He wanted to get this level of holiness and level of purity. So he has his soul, says, what am I supposed to do? What do I need to fix? What do I need to do to reach a high level of holiness and a high level of purity? So the response was that he has to fast for 40 days straight, and afterwards to fast every Monday and Thursday for 2.5 years. And after that, he will, achieve a level of hasaga gemura, total comprehension, without any interference from the sitra achra, from the evil inclination, from the, from the Satan. And Rabbi Chaim Vital continues, says the reason that I had to do it for 2.5 years was that in my youth, when I was younger, I sat for 2.5 years and I wasn't applying myself so diligently to learning Torah. And therefore, and my deeds, and therefore I have to fast for this 2.5 years for Mondays and Thursdays. And then he goes on. And he says, Va'ikar. And the most important thing, I want to say it in Hebrew and then I'm going to translate it. Va'ikar, and the most important thing, Lehisaneg b'midas ha'anava, to go and to behave with great humility. B'midas ha'anava, me'oid, excessively. Ulihizar min hakas v'hakpada. And to be careful from kas, from anger, and hakpada. So I want to explain what the difference between anger and hakpada is. So hakpada is someone who is, let's say, overly particular, harboring resentment. We'll explain it this way. No, I think we'll clarify it. Kas, anger, is, it's like explosive. It's emotional. It's usually short-lived, right? You get into like this stage of anger, and then you calm down and be like, "Oh no, what just happened? Like, what did I just do?" So an example: someone insults you, you get angry, you raise your voice at that person, and then it passes. That's anger. Hakpada is something more long-lasting. Someone wrongs you, you don't yell, but inside you're like, I'm not gonna forget this. This is gonna stay. You're gonna go be written in my black book. It's something that stays a lot longer. So the Chaim Vital says the most important thing. You want to grow, you want to get closer to God, you want to be greater, you want to be spiritual. You have to focus on these things: anava, humility, avoid anger, and avoid hakpada, this petulance, this resentment that you hold in. And the Arizal, and it says Rabbi Chaim Vital, and I spoke to the Arizal about this, and the Arizal warned me to make sure I observe everything that I just said very, very carefully. And he said not only that, he says you're going to find it difficult with these self-imposed afflictions, but you should know that your choice is yours, and you have to oversee that you'll overcome these obstacles. And this is like a massive lesson. How many times where we decide, we're going to be better. We're going to decide, and it could be anything. It could be like dieting or eating or sleeping better or going to sleep early or learning better or whatever it is. And then there's obstacles that come. Be like, but I want to do this. It's up to you. The decision is yours. Do you want to succeed or do you not want to succeed? So, a few days later, says Rabbi Chaim Vital, it was a Thursday, the Arizal said to me that I'm going to experience with my own eyes a level of holiness and purity, and this is a sign that heaven was assisting me in what I was doing. And this is a very, very important aspect that we have to think about. Whenever we try to accomplish something, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't ask you to do everything. God just asks you, just start. Once we start working on ourselves, then heaven is going to send reinforcements. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to send malachim. They're going to send you some sort of reinforcement, and it's going to get easier. In the beginning, it's hard, but then it gets easier. Why does it get easier? Because once Hashem sees that, oh, you're working on yourself, you're trying, you're working, then I'm going to go, and then I'm going to help you. There's the Torah tells us that if someone goes and sees on his enemy's donkey has a very big burden on him, that he's supposed to help. He's supposed to help unburden this donkey, but only if this person, the enemy, is actually unloading the donkey himself. Meaning that if the person, if you're walking down the street and you see your enemy's person shouldn't have enemies, but you see your person, an enemy, and then the donkey is very unburdened, and the guy is standing there with relaxing, leaning back, hand behind his head, and be like, yeah, you have a mitzvah, go unload this donkey. He says, no, that you don't have to do it. You only have to help if he is helping as well. And this is the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu works. He says, you want me to help you? No problem. Start helping and I'll help you. I'm not going to do everything myself. You start doing it, don't worry about it. I'll take care of the rest. But you have to start. That's what you have to do. And then the Arizal went and told Reb Chaim Vital that you're going to see that you're going to attain the level of Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. And Reb Chaim Vital wrote, and that's indeed, this is what happened. This was indeed the case. And the Reb Chaim Vital said that the Arizal told him that the reason that he was able to go and achieve this level was because that I had this desire, this longing for this growth, to be able to go and learn in depths in the Torah, meaning that I had this desire. Once you have a desire to achieve greatness, you have a desire, like when someone has a desire to accomplish, desire to do good, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to go and help you go and achieve that, achieve that good. And this, as the Hayashar, is what every Jew needs to focus on. Every Jew needs to repent, even in a small way. Whatever it is that you need to go and focus on, you have the ability, go and tap into it. Do even something, something very, very small. And the reason why I started off with a whole, introduction of why a person's supposed to go and is supposed to realize that everything's in the action and you're able to change your enthusiasm and Zerizus. Many times we're learning things. And you're learning it and be like, if I were to just go and start, the class with like every day a person's supposed to pray tearfully that they go and they come up to 100, after 120, that they have to go and they have to make sure that they're not embarrassed. There's going to be a percentage of people that'd be like, yeah, I definitely agree with that. Many people will be like, oh yeah, this is not for me. Let's skip. Let's go to the fast forward, whatever. Let's go to the next class. We miss so many opportunities because we assign them that it's not. We don't have the ability. We don't have the ability to do it. So the lessons that we've learned is that if you have even if you're not motivated, if you fake it till you make it, you have the ability to accomplish so much. This has the ability to change your life, change your marriage, change so many aspects of it. But there's something that we ended off with that is something very important. And that is that Arizal told Reb Chaim Vital, the reason that you were able to crack into this code, to know what you needed to do, was because that you had this desire. You had this desire that you wanted to just achieve greatness. You wanted to grow. You wanted to accomplish. And we see this at expense of Melaveh Malkah, that we see this that in Yeshua ben Nun and Moshe Rabbeinu, it says that Moshe Rabbeinu knew that when the story of the Meraglim, the spies, came in, he knew that Yeshua is going to be protected. Why did he know that Yeshua is going to be protected as a student? Is because that he saw that Yeshua had a strong desire to do God's will. Someone who always has a strong desire to do God's will, they're going to succeed in life, spiritually, for sure, obviously. And then once you succeed spiritually, you'll succeed physically as well. But you'll be able to succeed, spiritually. And this is, something that I've been telling, students of mine for years when they're looking like, oh, what should I look out for, when dating a person? If the person's not on the highest level, wherever they're holding, but if they have that desire to always listen to God, to always do what's right, those are the people that are going to succeed. You may not see them now as succeeding, But those are the people that are going to achieve greatness. The people that always want to do good. Meaning that if you have someone that always wants to do good, let's say you have a spouse, but that spouse has this innate character trait, like I just want to do what's right. I want to be good. Not like I may fall. I may make a mistake, but I want to be good. So if that spouse gets into a fight with their spouse, and then they get whatever it is, there's something that comes up. After they calm down, they're like, no, wait a minute. This is not right. What does God want from me? Does Hashem want from me right now to go apologize? Does Hashem want me to go not apologize? Do I have to, where do I have to go? And a lot of things in life depends, many times in life, it's great if we're able to achieve this, but many times in life, we're not able to achieve it. We're on the spur of the moment, our emotions overtake us, and we're not able to think, and we do things that maybe we would regret later on. So, let's say someone does something they regret later on. What is their reaction to that? Like, how do so some people double down, be like, yeah, no, I was angry at that person, and I yelled at that person, and I embarrassed that person, and I'm not going to, do anything about it. That's not a person that always desires to do what's right. Because if someone desires to do what's right, it'd be like, even if they were right, even if they were in the right of yelling, they'll be like, wait a minute, why did I yell? Why did I get upset? That wasn't right for me. They would go and they will bring themselves into a situation, into a matter that's saying, like, wait a minute, like, this is, even though I may have been justified in what I said, it still wasn't the right thing to do, and then they go and they apologize. Meaning that the underlying thing is you have to have that desire, that will to always do what's right. And the Imre Emes says also by the Meraglim, the reason why Yeshua and Kalev, they were the ones that passed the test, was because they were very humble. They realized that, wait a minute, not everything that comes into my mind is right. Not everything that I do is correct. I'm not God's gift to humanity. I'm human, I make many mistakes, and I have to go and I have to realize it. Humility, being humble, there is a tremendous aspect of why this has the ability to go and transform your spiritual growth, your reality. And this is why the Yismach Moshe brings down from the Gemara in Sukkah, page 52b, that says that every day the evil inclination becomes stronger for us. Every day. So how are we able to go and succeed it? The Gemara tells us because Hashem helps us. And if Hashem doesn't help us, we won't be able to overcome the yetzer hara. So the Yismach Moshe asks, wait a minute. So the righteous people, Hashem helps us, Hashem helps them. So that's why they're able to overcome it. The wicked people, that they don't overcome the evil inclination, and they fall into the evil inclination, and they mess up, and they do all the bad things. Why are they held liable? Like, God helped the righteous people, why doesn't God help also the evil people? And then everybody's going to be great. And the answer is, says the Yismach Moshe, says, you want to know why God helps the evil inclination for the righteous people and helps them do the right thing? Because they genuinely desire to do what's right. And when you genuinely desire to do what's right, God will go and God will assist you. God will go and God will assist you. All you need to do is you need to start. And so there's so many things in life that we come across it and we'll be like, I can never. And we immediately sign off and be like, skip past, I can't do that. That's not for me. That's for someone from a different, on a higher level. Don't sell yourself short. You can change the narrative of your reality. You could change the way that you perceive reality. And I'll give you an example like this. So this past summer, I went away with my wife for a few days, and this is one of the things that I've been working on myself for quite some time, and I realized, I came to the realization that a lot of things are all based on my mind. My mood, the way that I respond. There's like so many things, like not so many things, like everything is kind of based on my mind. So I decided, I may have mentioned this already before, but I decided that, I'm going away. Let me focus on that. And already a few days before, and I'm like, I'm going to go away. And I'm like, I mentally prepared myself that it's going to be great. I'm going to be relaxed. I'm going to be rejuvenated. I'm going to reconnect. I'm going to do, I had all these machshavas already working on in my mind. And you know what happened? It was the best time that I had. And probably one of the best times that, went away in my life. It was all in my mind. It's all in your mind. You're able to go, and you're able, like, the manifestation of these things, the actionable items that you're able to take away from these things is so huge. It's almost like it should be illegal. It's like almost like it's a drug. Like, if you just focus a little bit, like you do it tonight before you go to sleep, be like, wait a minute, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a, you could change the way that you perceive reality with just like some, like a mindset and working on it. And then let's say you're not able to change it with mindset and working on it. The Mesilas Yesharim tells us all you need to do is act as if you're enthusiastic about it. So let's say a person's going out with their spouse, and their spouse, they don't have a good time with their spouse. But if they pretend and they're enthusiastic and they're like, I'm going to have a good time, guess what? The more that you do it, the more that your body's going to feel it, and then eventually you're going to have a good time in it. And that is why, like, if let's say you go and you really don't like a particular food, the more that you eat it, the more that you're going to achieve a taste for it. Now, if you eat it and be like, oh, this is delicious, and you're like smiling and you're happy and you're having a good time and you're eating it, all of a sudden you're becoming in a better mood. Like, oh no, it's great. You think about something, let's say for example, as potato kugel. Potato kugel, it's crushed potato. Again, I've never made potato kugel in my life, so I don't know what the things, oil, potatoes, whatever, crushed. People eat it and be like, oh, like, why is this like a delicacy? Like, you're coming in and people go and, Baruch Hashem, over throughout the years, I had a lot, guests, different types of people that come into my house, Shabbatones and whatnot. And you can have like expensive meats and chickens and whatnot. And then there's like potato kugel, which is like simple thing, and people eat that. Like, do you ever think about it? Like, why is someone going and okay, it tastes good. It's potatoes at the end of the day. Okay, fine, it tastes good. But people associate it. It's Shabbos. It's a food. It's a Shabbos. And I ate it when I was younger. And I was always in like Shabbos is relaxed. My parents were relaxed. My father had a bottle of wine. Like, all of a sudden you associate things and you eat it. And it like, our mindset changes. And that's why, like, if you ever have somebody that go and they let's say they move away from their hometown, they go back and they're like, oh yeah, and all of a sudden the nostalgia of like, oh yeah, I played over here and I went over here, and like you come out and you feel like in a better mood. And the reason is that it's all in your mind. You have the ability to do that. If, let's say, you have a hard time with something in Yiddishkeit, all you need to do is just pretend. Fake it till you make it. Pretend to be enthusiastic about it. And guess what's going to happen? You're going to enjoy it. Let's say a person doesn't have a great time, I don't know, taking other kids. Fake it. Pretend like you're having a great time. Guess what? You're going to have a great time. Like if a person has, unfortunately, a very bad time going out with their spouse, pretend, fake it, and then all of a sudden, eventually what's going to happen is it's going to really sink in and you're going to really, have an appreciation for it. If a person has a hard time learning, if a person has a hard time dressing sneeze, do whatever it is that is difficult for you, but do it with Zerizus. Do it with enthusiasm, with speed. And this is why the Shulchan Aruch starts off that in the morning you wake up like a lion, because when you wake up like a lion, when you're enthusiastic about life, when you're enthusiastic about what you need to do, you're going to start enjoying it. It's going to change your reality. Your reality is all of a sudden be like, wait a minute, I never thought I liked this, but your actions are showing your mind that you really like it. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to start liking it. You're going to start enjoying it, and you're going to start doing all these things that it's all of a sudden going to be enjoyable for you. Now, who doesn't want to live a life of enjoyment, of happiness, of relaxation? Everybody, this is what we strive for. This is what we strive for. So the lesson that we can learn is that we can come across something that is so far-fetched and we'll think that we'll never be able to accomplish that. Yeah, I'm going to be able to, stop selling yourself short. You could do anything. All you need to do is just do it. But do it with enthusiasm. Do it with this is slavas. Do it with the ability to be able to realize and know that you're going to continue to do it and you're going to feel good about it. And once you do that, that's going to internalize inside of you. And once it internalizes inside of you, you're going to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing. So if you don't like davening, Get up in the morning, smile, fake it, whatever it is, be happy, be energetic, do it with Zerizus. Guess what? After a short period of time, you're going to start enjoying it. You're going to start liking it. This is the secret to life. The secret to life, you want to enjoy something, do it with Zerizus. Do it with enthusiasm. Do it because guess what? Eventually it's going to seep into your body, it's going to seep into your mind, and that's going to change. And the next time that you do it, you're going to have this massive enjoyment from it. This massive enjoyment, this massive level of euphoria that you're going to be able to get from it. And this is the way that we're supposed to go and approach spirituality. We're supposed to approach spirituality. You're going into Shabbos, be excited for Shabbos. Okay, you could be like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm single, I'm sitting at home. You could have a million reasons, and it could all be very, very accurate, correct, and you're 100% in the right. But fake it till you make it, because guess what? That's a reality, and that's really what's going to happen. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu help us that we should be able to act everything that we need to with Zerizus. We should be able to really act with this ability to really reach a level of faking it till we make it, but we should really be able to make it really, really quickly. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help us that really after we come up to 120, we shouldn't be embarrassed, we shouldn't be bashful, we should come up with a tremendous amount of amazing mitzvos that we have in our, in our back pocket, and that is because we did it with Zerizus, we did it with enthusiasm, and we did it with simcha. We'll say it looks like there is no questions. Yes, there is going to be Tehillim. Thank you for that. We'll say a bit of Tehillim, and then we'll open up for any questions. If not, then we'll close it. Off. As usual, we say Kapitel for Klal Yisrael. This is Kapitel Kuf Lamed, chapter 130. I'll try to say it slow. I usually say it a little bit quick, but you can say along with me. Shir malais mima makim karsicha adonai adonai shema bekoili tiena aznecha kashu v'is kol tachanunai im avaynes tishmar ya adonai mi amoid kim chaslicha leman tivarei kivi si adonai kipsa nafshi v'lidvarei echalti nafshi la adonai mishamim la beker shamim la beker yachal Yisrael la adonai kim adonai yachased v'arabei ma'ifedus v'hu yiftas Yisrael mikol v'nesav Achenu kol beis Yisrael anesunim batzara v'ashivya ha'imdim bein bayam uvein bayabasha ha'mokim yirachem aleim v'yatzia mitzara le'ervacha ma'afela le'ara meshiba le'gula hashta bagala bizman kariv v'neimar amen. Thank you all for joining, and until next time, may you have an amazing, amazing, successful, happy, and enthusiastic week.